Hey there, welcome back to another video. Just like last time, my name's Nick. Let's get into it. We had a really fun Saturday night full of lacrosse playoffs. I got my notes right here reviewing both of those games, so let's just get into it. Our first game was between the Philadelphia Water Dogs and the Maryland Whipsnakes. I have the top three scorers for both teams right here. So starting, it'll be the three Philly players, three Maryland players, just in case I forget to say what team they were for. So starting off with Philadelphia with Michael Sowers, he had 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points. He's actually the leading scorer of the entire weekend. Three of his goals and one of his assists all came in the first quarter of this game. Then again for Philly, we have Kieran McArdle. He went absolutely crazy, had 6 goals, 0 points, or 0 assists for 6 points. And then the last one for Philadelphia with CJ Kirst, who had 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points. And CJ Kirst's goal at the end of the first quarter might be the craziest goal I've seen all season, excluding Ryder Garnsey's goal in week 10 again, or maybe it's week 11, whatever the Boston week was, the last week of the regular season. Ryder Garnsey had the one-handed shot to get the Redwoods into the playoffs. So that was or not get them into the playoffs, but to win that game. But yeah, that was CJ Kirst had his foot level with the goal line, behind the back, into the net, score. Switching over to Maryland now, we have Aiden Carroll was their top scorer. He had 4 goals and 1 assist for 5 points. Rob Pannell had 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. And then Brad Smith had 1 2-point shot, which scored, and an assist for 3 points. Brad Smith's 2-pointer actually came with 6 minutes and 44 seconds left in the game, and it tied the score at 12, which was the first time it had been tied since it was 1-1 in the first quarter. And that was really the first time this entire game that I thought, wow, Maryland might actually win this. I would have considered it an upset. I know they were tied in the standings, and Maryland was technically the second seed, but I saw Philadelphia as the favorites going into this game. But Kieran McArdle scored his final 2 goals of his 6 for the night after it was tied, which brought us to the final score of 14-12. So I have the scoring broken down by quarters here. So quarter one ended in a 5-3 lead for Philadelphia. In the second quarter, Philadelphia scored 4, Maryland scored 6, making it 9, or scored 3, making it 9-6 at the half. In quarter three, Philadelphia scored 3, Maryland scored 3, making it 12-9. And then in quarter four, Philadelphia scored 2 goals, Maryland scored 3 for a final score of 14-12. Goalie stats right here. Matt DeLuca was in the net for the Water Dogs. He had 10 saves and a 48% save percentage. And for Maryland, it was Emmett Carroll, who had 13 saves, also had a 48% save percentage. My prediction for this game was 13-9 Philadelphia. I got the team right, got the score wrong. So Philadelphia will be playing the New York Atlas next week in Philadelphia. Despite it being in Philadelphia and Philadelphia playing now, they will be technically the away team because of the way the seedings fall, but they're really going to be home. So it'll be interesting to see that dynamic. I'll talk about it more in my preview of the next round, which will probably be out Thursday or Friday. But the second game of Saturday was the Carolina Chaos, 3 seed in the West, versus California Redwoods, the 2 seed in the West. Same thing, I'm going to do the top scorers for both sides. So for Carolina, we had Owen Hiltz. He had 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Shane Knobloch had 3 goals, 0 assists for 3 points. And then Jackson Eicher had 2 goals, 0 assists for 2 points. Switching over to California, we had Andrew McArty. Again, excuse me if I get the names wrong. 4 goals, 0 assists, 4 points. Chris Kavanaugh had 3 goals, 0 assists, 3 points. And then Charlie Bertrand had 2 goals, 0 assists, 2 points. The one thing with this game was I think combined between both teams, there were only 4 assists on any of the goals. There were not many. Even when I was double checking to write down stats and everything, it was only like 4 assists, 4 goals that had assists on the stat sheet. So a lot of unassisted goals this game. Andrew McCarty scored 3 of his 4 goals in the third quarter. And with 16 seconds left in the third, Jackson Eicher scored on the power play to tie it at 11. The Redwoods did play some really good defense in the fourth quarter, only limiting the Chaos to 1 goal. And then same thing, I have the breakdown by quarter. This is where you really see it was kind of a tale of 2 halves for Carolina, because in the first quarter they scored 2 goals, California scored 1. In the second quarter they scored 6, California scored 4. So at halftime it's 8-5. And I was like, oh wow, maybe the Chaos won't ruin my predictions. Coming out of halftime, Carolina scored 3 goals, and I wanted to say Philadelphia right there. California scored 6. And then in the fourth quarter, Carolina scored 1 goal. I just did it again. California scored 3 for a final of 12-14, which is the prediction I made for the score, but the wrong outcome. So they kind of just blew their entire lead in the third quarter, and then they never really recovered from giving up all those points. I do have the goalie breakdown here too. So Carolina did have Blaze Reardon in the net. He had 10 saves and a save percentage of 43. And for California, was Chase Ireland, had 18 saves for 60% save percentage. So like I said, my original prediction for this game was I took Carolina to win 14-12 and had the right score, just the wrong winning team. So thankfully, this will be the last time Carolina will be able to ruin my predictions for the season, because now they're eliminated. California will be moving on to the next round to face the Denver Outlaws. Just like with the other game, I will have more in-depth previews for this later this week. But let me know what you guys thought of the playoffs, this first round, if you watched it. If not, check out the second round. I'm sure next weekend's probably going to be even better than this weekend was, just with the 2 best teams in the league playing. Let me know down below who you think's going to win those matchups, what you thought of these games, and who you think's going to make it to the championship. All right, until next time, bye-bye.